Hello everyone, my name is Quinn Knight and welcome back to How to Not Suck at Star Wars Battlefront II. Today we'll be covering Bossk, everyone's favorite Trandoshan and possibly the most notorious Wookiee hunter in the entire galaxy. We'll start this off by covering the very basics so you can effectively use Bossk on the battlefront, and then move on to the best strategies that will give you the knowledge you'll need to dominate the enemy team. We now only have one other hero left to go in this series, and that is Yoda, and I know a lot of you guys are very excited for that one, and out of all the hero guides, I would definitely say Yoda was the most challenging for me, particularly when it comes to HVV. I know a lot of you have been requesting that I continue this series by covering each of the infantry classes and enforcers, so if you'd like to see me make more of these guides for the other characters, let me know by leaving this video a like. If enough of you want it, I'd be more than happy to get started on those right away. Also, if you are new around here and you want to subscribe, absolutely feel free. Just a little over a week ago, we hit 50,000 subscribers, and as of this morning, we are already at 60k, which is absolutely mental, so thank you all so much for that. But with all that being said, let's get into this. So let's start this off by covering Bossk's basic health and movement capabilities. Bossk starts out with 600 HP, which is definitely on the lower end of things when it comes to heroes. However, he is very unique in the way that he can always regenerate back to full health without the use of star cards, no matter how much damage he has taken. He is currently the only hero in Battlefront 2 that can do this, and this makes Bossk one of the most survivable heroes in the game. You can easily last an entire match with Bossk without a problem once you figure out which situations suit him well and which ones should generally be avoided. Despite his great health regeneration abilities, he can still be quite easy to take down by a skilled player, mostly as a result of his movement. Without Predator Instincts active, Bossk is quite slow. His base movement speed is slower than even the standard infantry classes, and this makes it relatively easy for a player with a good aim to take you down if you aren't careful. Bossk is equipped with both a jump and a combat roll, and his jump is very unique. You almost float upward when you jump, and you descend very slowly, and when I first started playing as Bossk, it felt very awkward, but eventually you will get used to it. It's similar to Vader's force jump, and you need to be really careful when using it as it does leave you somewhat vulnerable. When it comes to Bossk combat roll, I much prefer using that to avoid damage and make my escapes. It's very reliable, much like any other combat roll, and makes you a much smaller target. His jump is great for reaching places other players cannot, but it isn't an effective means of escape. Before we move on to Bossk's abilities, let's cover his primary weapon, the Relby V10, and this is perhaps the most nuanced weapon in all of Battlefront 2, and it certainly takes some getting used to, as it is almost nothing like its Battlefront 2015 counterpart. When hip firing, his Relby will kill infantry in 2 to 3 shots, and it works much like a low fire rate shotgun. It isn't the most reliable weapon up close, as the hip fire isn't exactly accurate, although a player with decent aim should have no problem taking out a few infantry before ever running low on any health. Where this rifle really shines is at long range, where the rifle transforms from an average close range weapon to the best long range sniper in the game. When aiming down the sights with the Relby, the weapon will charge up, and the more the weapon is charged, the more damage it will do. The Relby charges very quickly, and it is almost never worth firing Bossk's rifle without fully charging it, unless you're just trying to finish off a player with very low health. An uncharged shot will deal around 20 damage, which is very low and almost a complete waste of time, but a fully charged headshot will kill every class in one hit, and a fully charged body shot will kill every class but heavy. This makes Bossk one of the most deadly villains at long range by a fairly large margin, and between the heroes and villains in Battlefront 2, he's probably only second to Leia. His Relby is one of the most reliable weapons in Battlefront 2 overall. You'll rarely find it performing any other way than you expect it to. Alright, now that we've covered the very basics, let's move on to Bossk's abilities. Like every other hero, Bossk is equipped with 3 standard hero abilities: a Dioxis grenade, Predator Instincts, and Proximity Mines. We'll start this off by going over the Dioxis grenade, which is his standout ability when it comes to Galactic Assault. Once thrown, the Dioxis grenade will release a cloud of gas, and anyone who runs through this gas will be damaged and eventually killed. Against infantry, Dioxis is incredibly powerful, and it will kill anyone stupid enough to run through it in seconds. When it comes to heroes, it's not nearly as deadly. They can easily just run through the entire cloud while only taking a moderate amount of damage. Usually they can regen that full health as well. That being said, his Dioxis is absolutely fantastic for holding back the enemy team. At choke points, it is very easy to simply toss your Dioxis in a room, and there will be absolutely nothing the enemy can do until the Dioxis goes away. In Galactic Assault, that is the way I use his grenade 95% of the time, to simply toss it into a choke point, clear the enemy out, and score a few kills from the players not smart enough to get away. When it comes to HVV, the Dioxis is not quite as useful, as the action is almost always moving from place to place, and there aren't really any choke points. Heroes can just run right through the Dioxis and move the action to another location. In this game mode, his grenade is best used as a bit of a panic grenade, and not for you, but for the enemy. Simply tossing this grenade into a group of enemies will usually cause everyone to panic. Most aren't aren't smart enough to just run out of the cloud, and a lot of times enemies will run directly towards you and further into the Dioxis. The entire time they're in the cloud, they'll be taking damage while you damage them further with your Relby. His Dioxis can also be paired quite nicely with his proximity mines. This ability allows Bossk to lay down 3 sticky mines that will only detonate when an enemy runs through them. If all 3 go off, they will kill any infantry and deal massive damage to heroes, and these, just like Bossk Dioxis, are absolutely great for choke points. Simply laying these down at an objective will prevent anyone who isn't a hero from taking that objective while the mines are down, and they are very difficult to see for anyone who isn't actively looking for them, so you're pretty much guaranteed at least a few free kills. Bossk mines are best placed down wherever you know there will be heavy traffic, as a well-placed mine can easily score you a few easy kills. Personally, I like to place these down in one area and go take care of my business somewhere else. That way, I'm getting kills in an entirely different part of the map from my mines, while also helping my team at another objective with my other abilities. In Heroes vs Villains, his mines are also extremely useful, although I tend to use them much differently. In HVV, it's much better to save your mines for when you're being chased down, and once you have someone on your tail, throw your mines down and try to circle your enemies back into them. With the correct star card upgrades, you can quickly take out multiple heroes from full health to almost nothing, and we'll talk about the best star cards in just a second. His final ability is Predator Instincts, and this ability increases Bossk movement speed, fills his Relby with micro grenades, and gives him thermal vision, but I have to warn you, as of right now, his thermal vision doesn't work very often. At least 60% of the time you'll activate Predator Instincts, and you won't be able to see the heat signatures of any enemies or friendlies, and everything will be blue, and it's very disorienting. This can be very annoying, and quite honestly, it just turns me off from using the ability offensively when it isn't working well, because it's just dangerous, and it's very easy to miss enemies when they're the exact same color as the walls around you. However, when it's working correctly, this ability is amazing. It's great for getting a feel for your surroundings and moving to objectives quickly, and his micro grenades deal extremely high damage, taking out all infantry classes with a maximum of 3 shots, although most will go down in 2. Unlike the last game, you do need to land direct hits with his micro grenades or they will not go off. You can't simply just spam the ground or just spam them across the map and expect them to deal damage. If your thermal vision is working, it's quite easy to clear an entire room of enemies by combining your Dioxis and Predator Instincts. If it isn't working, be sure to use it at your own discretion, try to get a feel for what enemies are where, and then pop it. Although I do feel confident this problem will be fixed very quickly. Alright, let's move on to what everyone really wants to hear. What are the best star cards for Bossk? And quite honestly, Bossk is the hardest hero in all of Battlefront 2 to choose star cards for. The problem is, nearly every card Bossk has is very good. There are a few that aren't too useful, but for the most part, he has a lot of really good upgrades. Most heroes have a few standout cards and a bunch of pretty worthless ones, but Bossk just has a ton of great cards. With that being said, I'm just going to give you my favorite setup, and this is the one that I feel is the best for both game modes. We're going to have separate setups for HVV and Galactic Assault. If you're a Bossk main and prefer some other cards, I can understand that because he has a lot of really great upgrades. But let's start this off with my best Galactic Assault loadout, and by far his best card in that game mode, and I think most people would agree, it's a Lingering Dioxis. This card increases the duration of Bossk Dioxis grenade by 6 seconds once fully upgraded, which is about a 40% increase. Once this card is upgraded to rare or higher, you will almost have another Dioxis grenade ready to go by the time your other one is finished out spewing the smoke. This will make locking down objectives so easy, and holding down enemy teams indefinitely will feel like an absolute cakewalk. And once this card is paired with Spreading the Disease, your Dioxis grenade will be one of the most potent in the game. Spreading the Disease increases both the width and the thickness of the Dioxis cloud, which allows your grenade to deal more damage while covering a larger area, making clearing out much larger objectives easier. For Galactic Assault, focusing on upgrading Bossk Dioxis is the way to go. The final card I would recommend is Name Your Poison, and this card can and will save you. For every second you stand within the Dioxis grenade cloud, Bossk will regenerate additional health, and this card is great for multiple reasons. First, if you want to run into a room and clear them out, just toss in your Dioxis, and while it's damaging your enemies, it will also heal you rapidly, making you able to tank significantly more damage. Second, I just find it incredibly useful for getting back into the action much more quickly. Although Bossk can regenerate back to full health, he does heal very slowly without this card. That means you'll have to sit outside the action for a very long time when you should be helping your team lock down or take objectives and scoring kills for yourself. Now, when we move on to HVV, I would keep on Name Your Poison. In that game mode, you'll be standing inside your cloud quite a lot, and the quicker you can regenerate your health, the better. However, I would trade out your other 2 Dioxis upgrades for Trap Arming Speed and Multi-Traps. Multi-Traps allows Bossk to toss down 2 extra proximity mines that will have a larger detonation radius, and Trap Arming Speed increases the activation time of Bossk mines by 60%. Oftentimes, the heroes will move through your mines far before they ever go off, but this card completely removes that issue, and once you combine the two, taking down a full health hero is incredibly incredibly easy to the point where it truly feels cheap. Again, Bossk has many great cards, but I feel like these are the best setup for my playstyle. If you feel like other cards suit you better, absolutely feel free to use them, as Bossk is a hero that can benefit from many different setups depending on the player. Before we get into a few points of strategy, I feel that I should say that Bossk is a much better hero in Galactic Assault than HVV. In Galactic Assault, Bossk is top tier, only second to Palpatine in terms of villains, but when it comes to HVV, heroes like Darth Maul, Palpatine, and Vader can easily outclass him, but I would say he's still above average. Throughout the course of this video, we've already went over most of the strategy you'll need to know for Bossk, but there are a few more things I would like to mention. For Galactic Assault, treat Bossk like a hit and run character. Pushing forward without stopping to regenerate your health will only get you killed. Just rush in, clear out a room, and get out while you can to wait for your health to regenerate. Running Name Your Poison will make the wait considerably shorter, and if you're dealing with long ranges like the first phase of Crate or Hoth, just sit back and pick off other players with your sniper. Take it easy until you can move forward into close quarter situations. Just make sure you're in an area with cover nearby, as Bossk can really be taken out quite easily by players with good aim. When it comes to HVV, well, I would just hope that your Predator instincts are working correctly, as his micro grenades are one of his best assets against heroes, but that's about it. Just take everything we've covered in this video and soon you will be dominating the Battlefront as Bossk. He is one of my favorites. Anyways guys, that is going to do it for me today. If you'd like to see another one of these guys for the different infantry classes, let me know by leaving this video a like, and if you like all things Star Wars, absolutely feel free to hit that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, and bye.